Okay, so what we've got so far in this track is we've got the completed drums, we've got my completed acoustic, I've got an electric track I've put in as well, a bit of an electric rhythm track, and I've also got Jimmy's bass through. So at the moment it's still obviously missing a lot. We haven't got anything of Paul's stuff yet, but this is what it sounds like. So the electric guitar I've not filmed. It's the one thing I've not filmed myself recording, so you've missed out on that. So just in case you want to hear that bit on its own, it's just this. And how well you can hear that. Just a simple part to fill out over the chorus and the fills and things like that, and it's left out of the verses. So anyway, what we actually have now is Paul has sent through everything. He always does this to me. I want him to send it through in little bits and bobs, and he likes sending it all in one go. And he never does one track, there's normally at least 6. So what we have now is Paul's tracks coming through. So I've already prepared on here the places to go into. So we've got Paul riff, something he's called pinched, the guitar solo, his vocal part, a high harmony, a low harmony, and a piano. So what's that? 7 parts. Standard Paul, that. So what I'm going to do now is I'll import them in one at a time. I will film myself doing this, which is painfully boring, but what I will also do is then do a snippy edit, so you get to see them going in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. So here we go. So there's the riff, there's pinched, there's the guitar solo, there's the main vocal, there's the high harmony, there's the low harmony, and there's the piano. So, as you can see, it's this nice rainbow effect we've got going on here. It helps me keep them separated, so I know what's what. I always tend to do it just in the colour of the rainbow, because I'm a bit... you know when people say they're OCD, I'm not OCD, I'm just particular. I like things a certain way, so drums are typically red, my acoustic's usually orange, bass is somewhere around the yellow, and then yeah, Paul takes out pretty much the rest of the rainbow. So anyway, that is the whole song. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just every default track on Ableton Live, which we're using here, starts at 0, which is typically too loud. Especially the stuff that Paul always sends me is really hot. So I've got everything set to a certain level. The drums on the software that I use are typically really quiet, so what I have to do is bring everything else down. That helps with leaving a gap for mastering. Let's get to mastering later. Anyway, so what I'll do now is I'll bring in the tracks one at a time, and then just do a very rough mix, and we'll see how it all sounds like. So what we had was this. So the first thing that's coming in is the Paul riff, so I will put that to -5, and then if you solo it, it sounds like this. That's really loud. So I'm going to try that to -10 actually, but then I'll bring in everything else, turn solo off, and 12, 14, oh, it's got a nifty little solo-y bit. That level sounds pretty good. Next we've got pinched. I don't know what pinched means. Let's find out what pinched means. Let's turn up the volume and find out what pinched means. We'll start with -10 because -5 was way too loud. Oh, he's pinched. Makes perfect sense. Again, maybe -14. Oh, it's still too loud. Sync just sounds a little out there. Sometimes tracks don't. I might have to drag things around a bit. Somewhere around there. That's pretty good. Okay. So we've still not got vocals. There's 3 tracks of vocals. I'll do vocals last. I always chuck them in last just because I like to get the rest of the track right, and then you sit the vocals on top. Obviously it's the most important part of the song. Usually people want to be able to hear the words. So the next track we've got is the solo. Let's put that to like -15 again. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. He's good. I like him. He's good, Paul. Right, piano. We don't often have piano on our tracks, so let's bring that in to -15. Let's hear how that sounds. So it's really nice, this moment at the end of the introduction and the bridge. You've got the guitars and the drums and everything. It just drops, and then you're just sort of left with a bit of vocal, a bit of bass, a bit of piano. Nice. Listen to this. That's pretty nice. It carries on. Things start to build up again. Bit of guitar coming back in. Pretty good. Piano. Right. Okay. Later on. Yeah, it's not bad. So, I mean, these are all very rough levels. I will tweak it. I'm not going to show you the in-depths of mixing. That just gets boring. It's a process that takes me hours or even days. But I'll do that later. So now I'm just getting very rough levels just to see where we are. There's loads of stuff that will need doing to all these tracks. So, vocals. Let's bring in the vocals. So the vocal is obviously the track that requires the most work. You want it to sound perfect. None of us, I mean, we can all get by singing. None of us are trained, excellent singers. So I need to put a bit of work into our vocals just to cut out background noise. So let's have a listen to this. Again, we'll start with minus 15. We might need it louder for vocals. Oh no, louder. What Paul probably hates is that, maybe minus 8, he puts all his effects on at his end when he records it. He records it dry and then sticks on reverb and delay and stuff like that. And because I'm going to do some extra processing to the vocal before I want those effects on, I get him to send me his strips back. So he'll hate this now because I'm going to play you his vocal with no effect on it at all. He'll detest this.
When I was young, I could not find the words to play my guitar and stand in front of a crowd, to play something different no one had ever heard,
Not bad.
to play with confidence and play it loud.
It sounds a bit thin. I'm probably going to thicken that up with a bit of an EQ. It sounds pretty good in tune. Paul's I mean, there's only 3 of us. Paul's pretty good at staying in tune a lot of the time, so it doesn't sound too bad. There will be a place where he goes a bit too high, a bit too low. I try to do as little as possible as I can, but I've got a vocal tuner that I can use to tweak those up and down, so I'll do that. There's a gate I'll need. I can demonstrate this, because if you listen right at the end of this bit he sings here, or any part,
Heard.
oh, it's not too bad actually.
Crowd.
There. Let me turn it right up.
Crowd.
So, crowd! We all do it. The 3 of us. Anytime we sing, we as soon as we finish singing, be a part of a crowd, we breathe out quite loudly.
Crowd.
I don't know if the camera microphone picks that up, but we're terrible for it, all of us. But I'll stick a gate on the end of there. For those non-technical people out there, a gate is just, it's pretty much as it sounds. It opens when it detects volume, and when the volume drops below a certain level, the gate shuts. So basically it cuts off. So it will detect sort of the end of Paul singing crowd, and then shut the gate, and you won't hear the afterwards. Generally in a mix, you're not going to hear those bits anyway, because they'll be masked by all the instruments and everything else. It should be loud enough to cover it, but if you can take out any audible clicks and pops and hisses and breaths and things like that, I mean, sometimes in songs you get these breathy solo singers that are all about the or the noise, like Britney Spears and but we take those out. We're not perfect, but we try to make ourselves sound perfect, so that's what we do there. So anyway, that's Paul's vocal in. So he's put a couple of harmony parts in as well, and he's put them in as a guide, but me and Jimmy will probably record them. Seems like there's a high and a low, so I will typically take the high, Jimmy will typically take the low. So I'll just get the volume for these 3 right, and then we can hear them together. So that vocal was minus 8, so let's go with minus 8 on both of these.
When there's nothing left to see.
God, that high one is high.
When there's nothing left to see.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to sing that.
Will you remember me?
Will you remember? Yeah, I can do that.
Will you?
Will you remember me? Yeah, I can belt that out. That's a high one. Jesus. Right.
Will you remember me?
So yeah, that's a bit shaky, but he's done those very roughly because he knows we're going to replace them anyway. Yeah, let's have a...
When the love has gone and the show is over, will you remember me?
Cool. Alright. So, there is our song. That's everything except me and Jimmy will re-record the harmony vocals. Just tweak the vocal up a bit. Like I said, this is a very rough mix at the moment. So yeah, it still sounds very ropey, very thin at the moment, but there's a lot still to do processing all this stuff. I'll film myself doing the harmony vocals as well. Jimmy will hopefully do himself doing the low vocal. I might do a bit more of a video, but the mixing's not that interesting. It's just me sat at a computer tapping away for hours. So yeah, might not put that in. But yeah, this is basically how our songs come together. So I will go away from the guys, do all of this, and then I'll send them a very rough mix, get their opinions, and then it's just a case of sending it back and forth. I'll go out to the car, listen to it in there. I might even do film myself doing a car listen once we've got this mix close enough, and then yeah, that'll be the song finished. So I think that's all I'll tell you about the mixing for now. You see me importing it all. Now there's just basically a lot of chopping. I'll show you a video in a bit of show you what I've done when I've done it all. So look out for that. See you later.